See, you all thought I was making that up when I said they were really bad and the baddest, didn't you? You thought I was making that up. How are you, Christ Universal Temple? You all right? That's good, that's good, that's good. To God be the glory. Say, yes, he did. Yes, he did it. So, where are we? We know we're somewhere. We're actually, we have been, our lessons over the past 2 months have come from Eric Butterworth's Spiritual Economics, and we're actually at the tail end of the text. And on page 169 in my book, now it might be different in your book, but on page 169 in my book, Eric Butterworth says that any study of prosperity fails unless it teaches you how and why to give. Any study of prosperity fails unless it teaches you how and why to give. If I think back to the early part of May, in the introduction of this book and of this series, one of the things that I said to you or to us was that prosperity is not necessarily money. It's all too easy to think that prosperity equals money. But if you got all the money in the world and a body that won't let you enjoy it, then you don't really truly have prosperity. If you have all of the health in the world, but you can't be around most people for more than 30 or 40 seconds, then you don't really have prosperity. If you get along well with everybody, but when you all go to lunch together, you have to have alligator arms because you can never pick up the check, then you don't really have prosperity. Prosperity, very simply put, is having what you want when you want it. See, the scripture says that God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you ask or think according to the power that's working in you. And so what I want us to just quickly do today is look at how it is we can get out of ourselves that which is within us so that we can be on our way to wealth. Now, understand something, that when we are talking about wealth, we're not talking about money again. See, wealth is mental, not physical. Wealth is mental, not physical. And the key to wealth is identifying, giving, and adding value to the spaces wherein you find yourself. So what we have to do is go from the mindset of getting to the mindset of giving. I want to take your attention to the second book of Kings, and I want to read to you from the 4th verse. This is the narrative about Elijah and the widow's oil. It begins this way. Now the wife of a member of the company of prophets cried to Elijah, "Your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that your servant feared the Lord, but a creditor has come." Say, a creditor has come. A creditor has come to take my 2 children as slaves. Elijah said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?" She answered, "Your servant has nothing in the house." Your servant has nothing in the house. Here it is, except. Your servant has nothing in the house except a jar of oil. He said, "Go outside, borrow vessels from all of your neighbors, empty vessels and not just a few. Then go in, shut the door behind you and your children, start pouring into all these vessels. When each is full, set it aside so that you don't waste a thing. She left him and shut the door behind her and her children. They kept bringing vessels to her and she kept pouring. When the vessels were full, she said to her son, bring me another vessel. But he said to her, there are no more. Then the oil stopped flowing. She came and told the prophet Elijah, and Elijah said to her, now go and sell the oil that you have, pay off your debts. Say, pay off your debts. Pay off your debts, and you and your children live on the rest. So if I am to understand this text appropriately, it seems like what Elijah encouraged her to do was to go into her house, 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 and to find what she had. Now, when she took a cursory glance at what was in her house, she couldn't find much, but then something occurred to her. There was something exceptional that she hadn't quite put her finger on. And so what I really want to talk to you today is about how it is you can give your time, your talent, and your treasure in a way that is exceptional so that you can become self-sufficient. I don't know about you, but I like having my own. I don't really want to have to ask anybody for anything. I believe in being self-sufficient. It's good to know that I have a God who has already provided everything that I need so that I can be self-sufficient. It doesn't matter what the governor is doing or what the government is doing. What I know is that God is the source of my supply, and if God is the source of my supply, I can be self-sufficient. The doctor may see something, he may want to do some kind of procedure, but here is what I know. If God is my health, then I can be self-sufficient. Listen, my relationships can be going through a troubled spot. As a matter of fact, we could be in hell. It ain't a place that you go into when you die. I know there are plenty of people in this room right now who are not dead, but who are going through hell. I got good news for you. You want the good news? If you going through, don't stop. Just keep on moving. Say to somebody, keep on moving, keep on moving, keep it moving. Tell them, keep it moving, keep it moving. In the text, when we encounter the widow, she is newly experiencing trouble. She is having new trouble. She is just encountering tough times, but it's important to remember that tough times don't last while tough people do. She is encountering some tough times. Her husband has just left, and so what she is now discovering is that there are some things that must come due that she is responsible for. Hear it, hear it, hear it. You are always responsible irrespective of your resources. You are responsible for what you produce regardless of your resources. And so now the widow is forced to figure out some way to get success out of this new experience. Now, here is one of the things that I appreciate in my own time when a text does not tell me a whole lot about an individual. I understand that she is a woman, and I understand that she is a widow. I understand that she has children, but it doesn't tell me a whole lot more. So that allows me to say she could be an executive. She could be a principal. She could be an entrepreneur who has come upon tough times. She could be a mother. She is a mother. She could be a teacher. She could be a tent maker. She could be a designer who has come upon tough times. But what the prophet has encouraged her to do is to look back inside the house to find that something that is exceptional. But what he says to her is very specific. The first thing that the prophet Elijah encourages the widow to do is to go outside. The first thing he says to her is, go outside. Why say go outside, prophet? It's probably because there is an environment on the inside that makes you think there's not enough. And the inside for you is inside your house, but your house is inside your mind. And so the prophet Elijah says, go outside or get outside of the thinking that causes you to believe that you have nothing, even when you have something that's exceptional. I'm glad she came to herself so she could at least connect with that which was exceptional. But he says to her, go outside. Now, if you're going to go outside from the inside, that's going to take some time. So what the widow must do is she must be willing to use her time effectively. Many of us waste time. We wonder how it is and why it is we're not getting to where it is we want to be. And I got news for you. In part, it's because you are wasting time. It's a waste of time to complain about the problem. That's why Dr. Benjamin May says, I've only just a minute, 60 seconds in it, forces upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it, give an account if I abuse it. It's just a tiny minute, but my life is in it. Every minute that you waste is a minute that you're not accomplishing your goals and your dreams. The widow wants to be able to pay her creditors and become self-sufficient again. The business owner wants to be able to pay her creditors and become self-sufficient again. The principal wants to be able to turn her school around and become self-sufficient again. But if she wastes her time, she won't do it. You don't have a moment to waste. Stop wasting time on stuff that means nothing to you. You know that stuff don't mean nothing to you. You don't have any time to waste. If you are going to use the same consciousness to waste time, then you don't need more time. Boy George saying, time won't give me time. And folks who are getting it in are taking advantage of their time. And folks who are getting left behind are losing time. So the widow is instructed to go outside. He says, go outside, take your time, do something constructive with your time, right? You have to take advantage of your time to maximize your mind, right? So he helps her to clarify what is important to her and what it is that she wants to do. And then he encourages her and directs her to do things that helps her accomplish the goal. When we waste time, we don't get to the task at hand. They say most successful students are students who know how to get to the task at hand. And I know, because I can be, I don't want to use a I am. I can be a habitual procrastinator, especially when it comes to work, schoolwork, not work, schoolwork. They fire when you procrastinate with work. If judge, we find somebody who gets the work done. But you got to get to the task at hand. Understand that whenever you say yes to one option, you're saying no to many other options. If the widow decides to stay focused on the problem, the fact that she does not have enough in that moment, the fact that she's not able to identify it in that moment, if the teacher is stuck on the problem in that moment, then the teacher will not be able to say yes to the thing that they should have said no to, and no to the thing that they should have said yes to. That makes sense? So we sometimes say yes to too many things, to things that don't produce what we want. I won't ask you what's happening on the latest show. I know you know. I know you know. I know you know what's happening on the latest hottest TV program. I know you know. But I just want to encourage you to use your time wisely. The next thing that he encourages her to do is to maximize her talent. Now listen. If she has to go and get vessels from all of her neighbors, she must be a skilled negotiator. She must know how to navigate around her needs and to be able to tap into the resources that somebody else has. See, it doesn't matter if you don't have it yourself. All you need to do is be able to connect it to the inner flow that will provide the need. See, many of us are waiting for the situation to be right before we'll grow. We're waiting for everything to be perfect before we'll say yes. I've heard it said, I'm about to do something great in a minute. We're waiting for all of our ducks to be in a row. What if your ducks never line up? What if you don't have the talent or the capacity to line those ducks up, but you do have the talent and capacity to take the next step, to write the next book, to open the next business, to get on the next venture? You have to move with the talent. See, here is the thing. The idea is not going to wait for you. A good idea will settle with you for a little while. And if you won't apply your talents to manifest the idea will go and find someone else who will. When it comes to talent, it's important for us to identify and understand our respective strengths. It's important to understand that when you work from an area of talent, you can produce that consistently. Did you see how effortless it was for Miss Sandra Bowens to just do that thing just now? Did you see how effortless that was? You got any idea how I would have to scream and squelch and turn around and turn back the other way to try to get that same sound? Somebody's back here saying, don't try it. I know it's not my area of strength. I'll dip my foot in the water a little bit to test the tide. But it's important that you work from your area of strength. It's important that you be so in tune and in sync with yourself that you understand what your strength is. See, you have to understand your strength and your value. You can't let somebody else determine for you what your strength and what your value is. You have to be the one who understands what people get when they get you. If you don't know, then people will play you cheap. Very rarely, say very rarely. Very rarely do people overestimate you if you don't know your value. And so if when you show up, God shows up, then there's not enough of anything anywhere for you to not be properly handled, compensated, taken care of, loved on, appreciated, valued when you show up. But if you show up playing yourself cheap, then they will put you in the cheap seats. Let's keep going. I just want you to understand, I want you to understand your talent. See, the widow was able to go and borrow vessels because she had some talent. Whenever you work from your talent, you work from your area of advantage. You work from your area of advantage. Say if Miss Sandra Bowen throws the gauntlet down and we have to have a sing-off right here and right now, one of us is going to have an advantage. And one of us is going to have an extreme disadvantage. But understand this. Just as you have a purpose, you have a place of advantage. You have an area of advantage. You have an area when you are working in your unique talent, when you are working in your unique gift, when you are working through your unique structure, there is nobody in the world who can match you at what you do. Just like your fingerprint is unique, The innate talent and strength that only you have is unique. Now, if you find the right place to position it, you can enter into areas that others only dream about. But you have to understand yourself. You have to understand your strength. You have to spend time with you. You have to check you out. When you're at the meeting, sometimes don't talk, just disengage and see how you move. Understand you. Are you with me? When you understand and work from your area of strength, you become an excellent performer. You are able to be responsible for the results regardless of your resources. When you work from your area of advantage, you can maximize your talents rather than trying to fix your weaknesses. See, many of us, rather than maximizing our talents and our strengths, we try to fix the places where we are deficient, where we see ourselves as deficient. But there ain't enough voice training. I'm on me today. I guess I'm on me today. There ain't enough voice training around. To help me be a singer. Now, anybody can be a singer, ER, right? Singer. But not everybody can be a singer. Ain't enough voice training around to help me be a singer. You have to understand your talents. You have to work from your area of strength. You have to maximize your moments by working through your area of strength. When Elijah is talking to the widow, he says to her, now, once you have accessed that which is exceptional, you can go back into the house. See, once you understand who you are, whose you are, once you understand the unique gifts, skills, and abilities that you bring, once you understand how it is that you get down, once you understand that you have an area of competitive advantage, once you understand you, then you can go back into the house. See, he didn't tell her to go back to the neighbor's house. He said, go get it and now come back to your house, because once you come back to your house, you come back with a new opportunity once you get a new mindset. The environment shifts once you've got some new vessels. Yeah, that's it right there. The environment shifts once you've got some new vessels, once you've got a new plan, once you've got a new strategy, once you've got a new opportunity. It changes things. And so he says to her, now go in. It's the same house, but it's a new opportunity. It's the same house, but it's a new opportunity. Shut the door behind you and your children so that you can cut off that old from the new possibilities and start pouring into all the vessels. See, when you have talent and when you have time and when you have treasure, it's important that you be willing to pour into all of the vessels. Watch this, watch this, watch this. Some of us are wondering how come it is we don't have more. It's because you're not using what you already have. We see somebody else and we want to be doing it like they're doing it. We want to be balling like they're balling. We want to be getting it like they're getting it. But if you ain't doing nothing with what you already have, you don't need more of what you're not already using. The universe never gives you more of what you're not already using. You're saying, I need more imagination. And the Spirit of God is saying, use the imagination you have. You're saying, I need more peace, and you're praying for more peace, and the Spirit of the living God is saying, use the peace that you have, go into your quiet room. You're saying, I need more money, but the Spirit of God is saying, use the ideas and the thoughts that I gave you to plant the seeds. If you don't plant the seed, you can never have seed time and harvest. You got to use what you have. You have to use your time wisely. You have to use your talent for the greater good. Listen, do you think that God gave you talent so you can just enjoy it yourself? Singing in the shower, putting on full concerts in the shower. The whole house hears you. Oh, she sings so beautifully. Bring it out so the rest of the world can enjoy it. Don't be afraid. Yes, some people are going to like it. Some people are not. But if it's a talent and a gift and a strength that you have, be willing to share it with the world. The scripture says you don't hide a light under a basket. A basket is no place for a light. If you got a light, you got to let that light shine so that men and women can see the good gift that God gave you, and God gets the glory because you do God-tastic things. I just made that up, God-tastic. Right on the spot, right on the spot. That's fresh off the press. 2015, God-tastic. Don't go ahead and try to copyright that now. That's mine. What the Lord gave to me, the world can't take it away. No, I'm just kidding. You want to be able to use your time, your talent, and your treasure. You have to say have to. Now, I don't mean have to as in a law. When it comes to tithing, understand that tithing from a historical Levitical context was the tax that would put on a portion of what you produce. The tithe was a tax that was put on a portion of what you produce. But when you understand the law, nobody has to force a tax on you. When you understand that the seed that you put in the ground does not produce for you a single seed, but instead it produces a whole harvest, you will understand the benefits of giving through tithing. When you neglect to tithe or give, you don't hurt anybody but yourself. That's the real talk. That's the real talk. If there is no inflow or no outflow, there's no room for the inflow. The closed hand cannot receive the new blessing. So tithing is an ancient spiritual law of one giving one's tenth of the produce back to God. But understand that tithe is an individual commitment. You have to decide. Say, I have to decide. I have to decide that I am going to be a tither because I understand the law. Now, when we're talking about the law, I'm simply talking about the universal law that governs all creation. I'm saying the law that says for every cause, there's an equal and opposite effect. Yes? I'm saying the law that recognizes that there is a mind action that begins to produce experiences that come back into your life, world, and affairs. So if you have a mind that understands the importance of giving, what you are also at the same time doing is creating the environment for you to receive. Tithing enables us to put God first. So we see with the widow that she goes after the instruction of the prophet to pay the one that she owes. Now, I don't recommend that you see God as a creditor. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend that you see God as a creditor. But I do recommend that you contemplate and begin to see God as the source of your supply. As I said to some folk on yesterday, or actually to our new baptists on yesterday, to our new members on yesterday, fortunately for us, God is not like your other creditors. When you don't pay ComEd, they just cut you off. When you don't pay people's gas, they just cut you off. It would be tragic if mid-breath you took an inhale and then exhaled and you were ready for another inhale and there was no air. You had been spiritually cut off. But God is a good God. God is a God of grace and mercy. And so God created you to know how to do what needs to be done. With the widow, when she goes and pays after using what she had, see, or even before then, as she takes the vessels, the prophet says to her, once the vessel is full, put it to the side, because you never want to waste what's exceptional. All too often we see people wasting what's exceptional. We're wondering why it is we can't get it together, and sometimes it's because we're wasting what's exceptional. But when you let it fill up to the top and now it's ready to go and pay the creditors, and once you're done with your responsibility, now it's time to live off the rest. You can be self-sufficient when you understand how to give. But many of us don't like to give. Not you, because you've been trained well. But your neighbor on the block that you live, and the neighbor across from them, they don't like to give. They don't like to give their time. They don't like to give their talent. And they don't like to give their treasure. But I'm glad I'm talking to people who understand the value and the importance of giving. And when you understand the value and the importance of giving, I submit to you that you can give your way to wealth. You can give your way to a mind that understands that wealth is not things, but wealth is the consciousness that creates the space for more increase, an increase of health, an increase of peace, an increase of healthy relationships, an increase in every form of your life. You don't have to be without, you can be self-sufficient. If you simply understand how to give that which is exceptional, give it your time, give it from your talent, and give it from your treasure. God bless you.